Hello and welcome to the official podcast of the Cleveland International Film Festival, SIF Speaks, sponsored by Wayside Furniture. I'm Dee Perry, and I'm joined by my producer and co-host, Aaron Spears. Hey, Aaron.
Hey, Dee. In this episode, we'll be sharing a sneak peek at SIF 45 Streams, the online film festival that kicks off April 7th, 2021. The theme of this year's festival is Bring Film Home.
Yeah, Aaron, it's a pretty timely theme considering that for much of the last year, our lives have revolved around staying home as much as possible because of COVID-19. And for the Cleveland International Film Festival staff, that meant canceling 2020's in-person festival, but they managed a remarkably quick pivot. Within 4 weeks of the cancellation, they'd organized their first ever all-online presentation of hundreds of films, SIF 44 Streams. And joining us today are two of the staff members who helped steer that change, SIF's Executive Director, Marcy Goodman, and its Artistic Director, Mallory Martin. Welcome back to SIF Speaks, Marcy and Mallory. Good to have you with us.
Thanks for having us.
Thank you.
So, Marcy, SIF 44's cancellation was announced on March 11th, 2020. What did you know on that day about what the festival was going to do next?
We didn't know anything on that day. That was a really rough day for us. It wasn't unexpected. We sort of knew that the festival would be canceled, and it was that day by Mayor Jackson. Then the next day, Governor DeWine canceled it anyway, so that was going to happen. We did, in hindsight, I think the staff really experienced a sense of grief and mourning. What we had worked so hard on for a year, disappeared in the blink of an eye. And of course, that was happening, to everyone everywhere, but it hit us really hard. And so Patrick Shepard, our associate director, and Chris Blake, our board president, and I were in Mayor Jackson's office that afternoon for a press conference. And we happened to have an executive committee meeting scheduled for that evening in our office. And by the time we got back to the office, trustees were already showing up with alcohol in hand. And I hope we're not recording this, to show their support. And what great timing to have that meeting be scheduled so that together staff and trustees could talk about what had happened and, now what. I will say that Tom Cook, our chair of the Finance Committee, Vice President of Finance, jumped right in. I mean, he was in the office from that moment on and just jumped in with every scenario plan imaginable in terms of our finances because we took a hard hit. And then Chris Blake, our board president, from that day, he showed up every day with his laptop. He's an attorney in real life. He was in our office every day working from our office just to be there. And so the support of the board was just incredible as we just, as the reality sunk in and the now what. It was now what.
And now what became a streaming festival. I was wondering if you had any role models to check in with for that, or if SIF was ahead of the curve and making it up as you went along.
Which is what we always do. Even for 45 years, we've been making it up as we go along. Trust me. But yeah, we were among the first, if not the first festival to go entirely online. And so we really had no one to turn to. Ultimately, many festivals turned to us throughout the spring and summer and fall because of our experience. But we did kind of make it up as we went along. We had a great partner in Cinesend, which is the company that created our platform. But we did make it up along the way. We shut down on March 11th. On March 18th, we had a board meeting scheduled. That was our last day in the office, so almost a year ago. That meeting was on Zoom, but we officially closed the office that day. And we went to the board and we said, we want to put this festival online next month in April. We don't know how to do that. We know we can figure it out, and we know it costs money, and we do not have the money to make this happen. We need the money by the end of this meeting, and we had it. We had it from our trustees. And just their faith in the staff and in the organization, and no questions asked. It was, we are going to support you in this endeavor. And they did. And on March 25th, which would have been our opening night in person, we used it to announce SIF 44 Reinvented. and we released our trailer like we always do on opening night, and we just did as much as we could, and we announced that CIF 44 streams would be happening in April. And at that point, we didn't know when. We didn't know how quickly we could pull this off, so we gave no dates, but we did announce it 2 weeks after we were shut down.
I want to move ahead to CIF 45 very shortly, but before we do, I've got to ask, thinking back on that experience that you created, what do you think worked best about CIF 44 streams?
I think what worked best about our first online festival is what worked best for all the festivals that preceded it, which is our community and the support from the community and the involvement of filmmakers. And that's what's most important to us. And we were, even virtually, we were able to maintain those connections, and not just maintain them, but I think we were able to deepen many of our connections to our audience and our filmmakers along the way, because we were all, as is the case with every festival, we were all in this together, of course. So that was really important. The other thing that Cinesend, our platform building company, did for us is that they made sure that we had apps so that you could experience the festival on your smart TV if you had an Apple TV device or Roku. And that changes the viewing experience so much. And that was just huge that they made that possible for us. And we still have those apps, and it'll be, they'll be part of the upcoming festival. But I think that just for those people who had those devices, I think it just really added to the experience. And for those people who didn't have the devices, it was still really great, no matter how anyone got to watch the films, because we had a great lineup last year with Mallory's hard work, like we always do.
Well, Mallory, as artistic director, and with that, one make it up as you go along year under your belt, what did you see that you wanted to improve on, given that now you've had a year to kind of work with that platform and work with the technology? What can we look forward to for CIF 45 streams?
Yeah, so great question. It's what we've been working on all year, essentially. And to piggyback off of what Marcy was talking about, something that we even tend to forget at this point, because a year ago feels like 10 years ago at this point, the virtual cinema platform that virtually all festivals, at least in the United States, have been using over the last year did not exist until CIF 44 streams. And backing up to what Marcy was saying, like we were really, trying to weigh options very quickly with how we were going to move things online. Luckily, we were already working with Cinesend in a different capacity, so they had a lot of our films basically in a cloud setting. And so, for us, we really loved working with them too. And we knew that was the only way we were going to get stuff up quickly. And so in part, that's pretty monumental. And I give credit to everybody who bared with us last year experiencing the festival, because we were literally building it as people were watching films. So needless to say, the full-time staff was Geek Squad 24/7 during that entire time. And there were technical difficulties, of course, as there always are, and as there continue to be. And some things are, definitely things that are out of our control, but we're going to work with people as best as we can to make sure that they have a good experience, just like always at the festival. So that's been a big thing that we've been working with this company on since. And like I said, there's been dozens of film festivals around the country that have used this platform since us, and we've learned from them along the way as well. And what we didn't have time to pull off last year in the 3 or 4 weeks that we pivoted was doing any sort of filmmaker or audience engagement. Of course, we were able to get all the films online for people to watch, which I think was like so great too, to be able to, well, for the filmmakers, of course, because, they just wanted an audience in some form. They want people to see their films before they disappear. But at that time too, everybody was really scared. Everybody was at home. Everybody was scared they were going to lose their jobs, scared of losing people that they loved. And the fact that we were still able to come together in whatever form we can and give people a sense of escape that they often seek so much at the in-person festival, we couldn't have been happier to still be able to provide that at least. But With that said, something we've been thinking about all year and really taking tips from other festivals is how to pull off Q&As in a virtual environment, and how to make your festival feel less like Netflix and more like a film festival. So even though there's lots of pieces that I'll probably get to at some point, that are that a virtual festival can bring in terms of convenience and viewing, such as a Netflix platform, but for us, we want to create that SIFF buzz in a virtual setting. So we're recording a lot of Q&As with filmmakers. We're doing stuff that we've never been able to do in the in-person festival before. So we're hosting things like roundtables where we're bringing different filmmakers together to sort of interview each other as well, which I think is a fun change for them. And one big thing that we're attempting to pull off, and hopefully everybody just joins with us on this, is our what we're calling our happy hour show during the festival. So every weekday during SIFF at 8:00 Eastern each night, we'll be hosting a live hour-long show where you'll see familiar SIFF faces, mine included. Marcy hopefully will be on there as well. And we'll be bringing in different filmmakers along the way to do some live Q&As with them during that time, so that our audience can also be asking questions. So we'll include feature films and some short films as well. And that's a chance for us also just to kind of connect with the audience, give you guys some updates along the way. Maybe, have a chance to even answer some questions from the staff. If you guys have questions, we want to make sure that it feels like the festival where we would be in the lobby and you could come up and, it's taken us a long time to figure out how to do that, but that's the plan for this upcoming festival. And then on top of that, we're hoping to pull off some fun, unique events to bring our audience together as well. We can't really have the hospitality headquarters like we did in person, but so we're trying to turn that into a digital version where you can come on and engage in sort of a social media type of way with other SIFF people, talk about movies that you liked, get recommendations. Sometimes you'll even be able to have connections with filmmakers directly through that platform as well. We'll be putting a lot of information up on our site about that. And we're hoping to host a couple other audience events like SIFF karaoke, SIFF trivia, things like that along the way. So definitely still making it feel like a festival, like a party, and we hope that everybody joins us along the way.
That sounds like some really fun new things coming up. But I've got to mention, on the note of change, Mallory, you're with us in a different role and with different responsibilities since the last time we spoke. So how does the role of artistic director suit you so far?
So far, so good. It's definitely an interesting year for that to happen. But I do think also it's given us the opportunity to at least start to get the wheels in motion to expand and diversify our programming team. We chose also we just had to in some ways in terms of timing, but we chose to keep things as familiar as we could this year in terms of programming and some other things about the festival. But it's also, this is an opportunity for us to really examine our program both as a whole and in its pieces and parts to see what's working, what's not working anymore. And I think 2021 with the virtual edition and then moving us into Playhouse Square in 2022, it's a really good time to hit the refresh button.
Yeah. And on that note, Marcy, 2021 was going to be the year to roll out the red carpet in Playhouse Square. Where do your plans stand now?
Well, that's a really good question. And you're absolutely right. Last year, 2020 was going to be our final year at Tower City Center. It would have been our 30th year there. And we had such a wonderful celebration planned. And then this year, yes, we were supposed to move to Playhouse Square. Playhouse Square is our permanent home. We are a resident company of Playhouse Square. And we feel so lucky to have Playhouse Square in Cleveland and to be part of it forever. We just need to get there. So we remain hopeful about next year. I will say that last summer, the staff really agonized over what the next festival was going to look like. Were we going to be able to move to Playhouse Square in 2021? Were we going to be online? Would it be a hybrid? And then by the end of the summer, science and community circumstances made it so clear to us that the only option was going to be an online festival for 2021. And the staff wrote a recommendation to that effect to the board, and the board approved it at the end of September, and then we made our announcement in early October. But we learned if we've learned nothing this year, any of us and all of us, is that we can't even predict tomorrow. We don't know what the next day is going to bring. And so we just have to keep our eye on science and community circumstances. They served us well, and we'll just see what the future brings. But for now, we are looking at this festival as a bridge to our future. And our future is at Playhouse Square. We hope that is as soon as 2022 for the 46th CIFF. However, online programming will always be part of what we do. That's not going to stop. We will need to define what we mean by that. We've not yet done that, but anything that we've done online this year, other events and programs, we will continue to do it in some way, shape, or form online. But we will keep our fingers crossed about Playhouse Square in 2022.
We'll stay tuned.
Well, even though it won't be at Playhouse Square this year, we're still doing an opening night film on April 7th. Mallory, could you give us a little preview of what that's going to look like streaming this year?
Sure. So the film will start at 7 o'clock on 7 o'clock Eastern on April 7th, the opening night of our festival. It'll be sort of the kickoff to the rest of the festival, just like we did in person. Together is a great film. It's a really fresh comedy out of Sundance, directed by Nicole Beckwith, and it stars Ed Helms from Hangover and Office, who we all know and love, and Patty Harrison, who she's kind of like a new up-and-coming comic. She's been on Shrill, which is Aidy Bryant's show on Hulu. I think she writes for Big Mouth currently right now. She's actually from Ohio originally, a small town in Ohio, and she graduated from Ohio University. Go Bobcats. Love her. So anyways, the story is really great, and we're going to have a Q&A with the director afterwards as well. And I really can't wait for that, because the Q&A I saw with her during Sundance was part of what made me fall in love with the film too. And she wrote it as well. And when she talked about writing it, the story is about a straight man who is single and wants to have a child. And so he has a surrogate that's played by Patty Harrison. And it's about the relationship that builds between those two people. And she started writing this because for a couple of reasons. She said that, she wanted to write a story about platonic love, which isn't talked about very much. Definitely to explore the male biological clock, which is like never shown in cinema. And one of the things, which I'll probably be stealing her thunder, and we'll share again during the Q&A, but she said this line, which was she wanted to write something that really showed the divergence of forever being an ingredient of happily ever after, which I just loved. I loved the way that she talked about that, and about how, happily ever after can mean a lot of different things to a lot of different people. So I think it's the perfect film for us to open the festival with this year.
Well, it sounds like that's a good kind of recreating the live experience in a digital form too. It's starting to all this. Everybody's going to be starting that around Cleveland at the same time and experiencing that, although separate, but together at the same time.
Right.
Yeah, I like that. Together. The closing night film is a kicky musical called Best Summer Ever. But I wanted to focus on the between the opening and the closing night films. You've added a new one-time only feature that'll happen mid-festival. Give us the what and why of that film.
Sure. So our centerpiece film this year is Summertime. And it's distributed by a local distributor, Good Deed Entertainment, who are based out of Ashland, Ohio. They moved from the West Coast to Ashland a few years ago now, I think. And they've gotten a really great slate over the past couple of years. So we're thrilled to work with them, and especially on this title. This film is great. It's super fun. It's a slam poetry musical, essentially, and basically a love letter to LA with 25 different poets over the course of one day and how their lives interact in LA. So it's a lot of fun. And for us, we realized that the sort of centerpiece of our festival this year was April 13th, which is the festival's birthday. So we'll be officially 45 on that day as well. And it's also something that will be hoping to lead into our time at Playhouse Square as well. We've got some really beautiful, grand, larger theaters at Playhouse Square that will hope to do some more special, bigger events at than we typically could have done, all sort of broken up into smaller theaters at Tower City. So that's something that we're hoping to continue in the future. So we're testing it out this year in a virtual environment.
Marcy, the film festival has a number of special awards categories, but I want to take a moment to focus on one that's, I think, especially meaningful for you. Talk about the Dreamcatcher Award, why it was created, and who receives it this year.
Okay, sure. And thank you for asking about it because it is very meaningful to our festival. The Dreamcatcher Award is presented in memory of David Ream. He was a trustee on our board for decades, and he died very suddenly a few years ago. And we wanted to find a way to permanently honor him, and so we created Dreamcatcher. And Dream is capital D, capital R, EAM for Dave Ream. And Dave was gay, and he was also probably the biggest arts enthusiast you ever wanted to meet. So we knew we wanted to combine those two pieces of Dave's life in whatever we do, and thus Dreamcatcher Award and program. And so this year, our award recipient is Todd Stevens, and he's an alum from the festival. We showed his film Edge of 17 quite a while ago, and in that film, we're bringing it back, and two more of his films will be in the festival, Gypsy 83 and Swan Song. Todd's from Sandusky, and we will be able to connect with him virtually early and often throughout the 2 weeks of the festival, as Todd will be, of course, doing things for us, but he'll also be reaching out to the LGBTQ plus community and meeting virtually with organizations and student groups and just doing special gatherings with them. So that's part of the whole program. It's not just honoring a filmmaker and giving them a cash award, which we're doing, but it's also making sure that filmmaker connects to our LGBTQ community. So we're so excited. Everyone is going to love Todd. He's just a wonderful human being, and he's excited about this, and we can't wait to host him for this festival.
And then, Mallory, there's also a brand new award that's being given for the first time this year. Do you want to debut that award and let us know who the recipient is and what prompted its creation?
Sure. So our newest award this year is called the Groundbreaker Award. So this program was born from a program we started last year, which we unfortunately weren't able to present in its full form as we wanted to in person. But that program was called Focus 2020 Racial Equity. And it had a number of films in that program around that topic. And it was really designed to educate our audience and the community about structural racism. For us, it was a really great program that we were able to also bring back as part of the Anisfield Wolf Book Awards virtual component this past fall, which was really great. And so we talked about what we wanted to do with that program and award moving forward. And for our upcoming festival, we decided to reframe it to not only educate our audience, but also specifically to elevate and support filmmakers of color. So the whole Groundbreaker program, which will include more than just the award, will feature a number of feature and short films with plans for a virtual panel discussion among some of the filmmakers. And then the Groundbreaker Award is presented to one filmmaker in particular who we feel is a pioneer in this field and whose work has really proven to lift up marginalized voices. And this year, we're thrilled to give the first ever Groundbreaker Award to Ashley O'Shea, who's the director of a film called Unapologetic, which will be part of the festival. And just like with the Dreamcatcher program, we're hoping that Ashley can talk to some other organizations and communities around Cleveland, virtually, of course, but around this topic. And she's really honored and excited to be our first recipient of this award. And her film is perfect for this as well.
And of course, the awards that have become fan favorites will still be part of the festival. Just give us a brief rundown of what's coming up.
We had some ideas of doing some new things or changing things up. And ultimately, we, like I had said before, we kind of decided to keep what we could as familiar and similar to the in-person festival as we could for this year. So you'll see a lot of returning competitions and awards. We're going to have our 3 juried feature competitions again for Central and Eastern European film, our portrait documentary competition, and then also our new direction competition for debut feature filmmakers. And then we'll have our longtime favorites as well. All of our documentary competitions, including Standing Up, Global Health, which is pretty relevant this year, Local Heroes, American Independence, and we'll have plenty of short awards as well this year.
And audience voting is back too, yes?
Yeah. So actually, in some ways, I think we're going to like this voting better than the in-person paper ones that we had to fill out every time. It's definitely more environmentally friendly, I think.
I'm not going to have a bunch of paper triangles in my pocket at the end of each day anymore.
You can do it if you want.
That's true.
Nostalgia, I guess. No, so the virtual cinema platform that our festival will be on this year has a really great voting system attached to it. So after you've watched a film, whether it's on your laptop or if it's through one of the apps, as Marcy talked about, as soon as you're done watching a film, it'll take you back to a landing page where you'll see a 5-star rating system, which works really similarly to the voting system that we had in person. So, between 1 to 5, you vote how much you like the film, and ultimately that will decide many, many awards in our festival and help give money to many filmmakers. So please make sure to vote after watching the films. We weren't able to do that last year either because it didn't exist as part of that platform then, which was a bummer for us because, we love giving awards out to filmmakers, but that will definitely be a piece of this year.
Mallory, on the note of how things work, which is, I think, what we were talking about with voting, any tips on how to best navigate the streaming platform CineSend? Say, for instance, you're interested in a specific category or type of film?
Yeah, absolutely. So the biggest sort of distinction to make is that there are 2 sites our festival essentially is going to be working off of. The main SIFF site, which everybody is very used to, and think about that as sort of your virtual program guide this year. And then the actual virtual cinema platform site. So those are 2 different sites with different logins as well. So we'll make sure that a new thing different from last year is that we'll have sort of like an easy shortcut button from our site to get you back over there whenever you need to. It's also helpful to sort of bookmark those sites if you're going to be watching on your laptop. And we'll have lots of really great how-to videos that we're starting to pull together too for how to watch on apps and on your TV and all those fun things that we didn't have time to put together last year. So we'll be having those things on our website too once we launch the program. But the best way that I would describe to use both of those websites this year is that I would really use the SIFF site as a way to browse films. There's going to be more information there than we can host on our virtual cinema platform. That's where we're going to have trailers. We're going to have a really great updated filtering system so that you can really understand better where some of the restrictions are. One of the big new things in this virtual cinema platform is that in order to sort of still maintain some control over virtual screenings from distributors, they have new restrictions. So sometimes films might be available only in the state of Ohio. That's another new thing for the festival this year. Last year, the entire festival was restricted to the state of Ohio. This year, we've expanded to the whole country. So most of our program will be available across the U.S., which is great because there's definitely some of our audience who don't stay in Ohio this time of year. And so this way they'll have a chance to experience more of the festival. But going back, there are some films that will only be available in the state of Ohio. There's a few films that will have specific scheduled screenings and not be available in the sort of on-demand style that most of our films will be available in. So we get it. It's overwhelming. It's a totally new system that we're going to do our very best to explain in every easy way possible that we can on the website. And again, we ask everyone to bear with us. Definitely, we have a great support system and team in place. If you have questions, we'll have a really easy chat on the SIFF site to just check in and ask anybody a question during the festival pretty much at any time, and we'll be able to get back to you easy that way. And so I would use the main SIFF site as a way to browse and see what you want to watch. And then just like the in-person festival will have ticket, you can purchase a ticket per film or per shorts program, or you can purchase a pass, which in this year especially, is really one of the best ways to be able to experience the festival. And that's, once again, just like last year, we're able to offer the majority of our program in an on-demand setting, so that most of the films will be available for our patrons to watch anytime between April 8th to April 20th. So it's really up to you to make your own schedule with that. And having said that, one way to go about it is this. It's the same thing that I do at other festivals, which is to really make a priority list of what you want to watch first. And the reason that I suggest everybody do that, especially this year, is that even though you get a ton of convenience and sort of flexibility with the pass holder experience, we do have a cap on the number of views per film, just like we did in person. And we had a maximum number of seats that we could show a film to. So that has transferred into the virtual environment for sure too. So I suggest everybody sort of make a list of saying, okay, these are the top 10 films I definitely want to watch those first. It's my suggestion, because some of them could potentially sell out during the festival. And we're going to do our best to make sure that doesn't happen in every way that we can. But just like in person, when things went on standby, we're going to kind of have that same idea going with the virtual festival. So I think that's kind of my best tips in advance to tell people. And then when you are on the virtual cinema platform, if you are a pass holder, you'll notice that you'll have a different sort of browsing experience on there, which is really great. It'll kind of look again like that Netflix view, where you'll have different categories based off of like competitions or sidebars like we typically have had. There's a great search feature on there as well, and it even includes its own watch list feature. So you can, as you're going through there, you can add stuff to your watch list to go back to. And this year for that platform as well, we're going to institute a shuffle feature. So I'm really excited about that because I feel like that I would love that in a festival where all I had to do is sit back and pop some popcorn and not have to choose what I had to see and just, take a leap and go for it. Yeah. So we're gonna have that as one of our categories is just going to be like a shuffle category that'll shuffle films from the whole festival in there. And if you want to experience the festival that way, we encourage you to do so.
Very cool.
I'm definitely going to have to schedule in a shuffle day during the festival in this one. Can I ask you one tech question, so last year when it was streaming, it was like 11:45 last day of the festival. And I was like, I didn't have time for one more, but I was like, I'm going to get 15 minutes in anyway. And then it played the whole movie. So is it going to be a hard shut off right at midnight, or as long as you click play right before midnight, you can still finish the last movie?
Yes. So basically what you said last, Aaron, is the case. So if you start something before 11:59 on the last day of the festival, as long as it's still available on the platform, obviously, then you'll be able to finish it. The only thing I will tell you is that if you stop it and leave the platform and come back to it, then party's over at that point. But yes, we were kind of figuring that out as we went last year too. And we thought that it was going to just cut off at midnight because I was doing the same thing as you. I was watching movies at that point too from our own festival. So you'll be able to finish something at that point. So if you want to start something at 11:59, you can.
All right.
Good for you. So I want to have Marcy have the last word on what you took away personally from last year's festival and what you hope your audience takes away from CIF 45 streams.
I think personally, what I took away last year was because we were online and we were on demand, I had a chance to watch some of the films. And I never watched films during the festival. And so, I said to Mallory, I had no idea how much fun this is and how great our films are. Like, I did not know this. And it was just so much fun to be part of the buzz with my sister and my friends. And like, did you see this? Did you see that? And I too was watching at the last minute on the last night. We had a board meeting the last night of the festival. And you could just tell that meeting could not have ended quickly enough for people because we still have to put in 2 more movies. And that was just such an amazing feeling. And I will add that this year's festival, like last year, is 14 days long. and that although our closing night film and ceremony will be on the last Saturday, April 17th, there's still 3 days left after that to catch up and to watch hopefully what you missed or what you heard about and couldn't see. And so we're doing that very purposefully. And then this year, I hope I hope that people take away the profound gratitude that this organization has for everyone who participates in this festival, because clearly we could not do it without our audience and our community. And I hope we all find out together that it is possible and joyful and rewarding to bring film home.
Yeah, well said. And thank you both for the hard work and the great films. We really appreciate it.
Thank you.
Thank you for having us.
And I've been talking with Marcy Goodman, who is the executive director, and Mallory Martin, the artistic director for the Cleveland International Film Festival. CIF 45 Streams kicks off on Wednesday, April 7th, and will be held entirely online through Tuesday, April 20th, 2021. For more details, log on to the CIF website, clevelandfilm.org. I'm Dee Perry.
And I'm Aaron Spears.
We want to thank our sponsor for this podcast, Wayside Furniture, keeping it local since 1937. We also want to remind you how you can support your local film festival. Please consider a donation to our challenge match presented by Cuyahoga Arts and Culture. Our goal is to reach $145,000 this year to support the future of our festival, and we're grateful for any amount you are able to contribute. To donate, please visit clevelandfilm.org. And thank you for listening to CIF Speaks.